Give back to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. This gospel today has been one of the most debated gospels, and it's been written about in all sorts of ways by lots of different people right throughout the history of the church. And it's talking about the interaction between our faith and society, the world. For the Jewish people at the time of Jesus, it was a challenge. They had an understanding that they lived in the Promised Land, but the Promised Land was controlled by the Roman Empire. There was Jewish money, but that was only valid in and around the temple. All the other money that they had was Roman money. And on the Roman coin, it had the head of the emperor, and on the other side, it had an inscription about the emperor, recognizing that the emperor is a god or like a god. One of the titles of the Roman emperor at the time was Son of God. That's a title that we see for Jesus right throughout the New Testament, Son of God, which we think, oh, isn't this lovely? He's part of a family. But this was a very revolutionary title that was given to Jesus. And this comes into this idea today of our gospel. What belongs to the state, what belongs to society, what belongs to the Roman Empire, and what belongs to God? And the Roman emperor believed himself to be like a god and expected everyone to worship him. There have been at times different kings and queens and emperors who've adopted this idea as well, that they have been divinely anointed by God, that they are special or different to everyone. They're a bit like God, and that they should be worshipped or revered. And this is a sort of a misunderstanding of the role of legitimate authority in the world. We shouldn't be in opposition to those who lead our land. We shouldn't be in opposition to other things either. Sometimes people say to me, oh, I can't be a person of faith because I'm so much a person of science. You've probably heard people who've spoken like this. You might have even you've thought this yourself, or maybe children or grandchildren who've said, no, faith doesn't work, I'm a science person. I love science. Science tells me a lot. And as Christians, and as Catholics especially, we love science too. But science shouldn't eliminate things that are beyond science. Science can't prove that God doesn't exist. Science can't prove a lot of the things that we believe by faith. Science can go with faith. But science sometimes could overstep itself and say, well, and some might claim that, well, God doesn't exist, using some scientific proof or some misguided scientific proof. And the same can be in the society as well. You have some emperors, some kings or queens in the past who believed they were the experience of God. The challenge for us and for the Jewish people at the time was, who do they worship? Do we worship the king? Do we worship the emperor? Or do we truly worship God? And then there was this other element by Jesus literally asking for a denarius coin. Jesus is saying, do you really put your faith in the money? Is that what you're really putting your faith in? Is that what's the most important thing in your life? As Christians, we should worship God. And the prophet Isaiah today is saying that above everything, there is God. God has created everything. There is life, there is existence because God has allowed it to happen. We have kings, we have queens, there are governments, there is science, there is an economy, there is all these other things, the legal system. These are there because God has allowed them to happen. And if those things try to destroy the presence of God or the presence of Jesus, that's a little bit of a problem. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Science has a particular place and we should respect it, but it doesn't tell us everything. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. We should recognize science, we should recognize the economy, we should recognize all sorts of different things. But our worship doesn't go to a government, it doesn't go to a premier or a prime minister or a president or an emperor. Our worship goes to God. Jesus is the Son of God. As I said earlier on, we take that almost for granted. For the Jewish people, that was revolutionary. The Romans, that was revolutionary. Who do we worship? Are we worshipping all those other things? Or do we render to the world a respect, a participation in all those things in the world, and then truly worship Jesus Christ, the Son of God? In a moment, I'll invite Karen Darwin from Catholic Mission to speak to us about the great work that Catholic Mission's doing right throughout the world. One of the beauties of what's been happening over the last 9 months now is that we've realised that we are a very small world, that we are so interconnected. We're interconnected because of this virus, but we've also become interconnected even within our Sunday masses. It's been quite interesting. We have about 6,000 to 7,000 people who watch our masses every week via the camera that we have here. And about 30% of them are here in Australia. The rest of them are overseas. People are participating in our worship here because, I don't know if it suits the time or our audio is good. There might be all sorts of reasons why people participate here at Cronulla. But we are a small church in that sense, but we're so interconnected. We're a very large church, but we're very interconnected as well. So I invite Karen now to speak to us about the work of Catholic Mission and how we might be able to be, first learn about some of the work of Catholic Mission in Cambodia and how we can support it today. Please welcome Karen.